This is believed to be a stolen car, a Kia. There were 4 people in the car at one time. We understand 2, I believe, have bailed out.
Yes, so even though it says that the police are in pursuit, technically right now it is a following. It was a pursuit a short time ago. They have backed off of this vehicle because of how quickly and how dangerous this is. You just saw that car blowing through a stop sign. We've seen it catch air at a few moments because it's going so fast. We just saw the helicopter overhead, so they're able to follow this thing from the sky as we are following it from the sky as they now move through Expedition Boulevard and Denker Avenue. We're in the South LA area. You see the Metro train, which is running there. This is rush hour on a Friday night, although you don't see too busy of streets in this particular area. That may soon change. You see some black and whites on the other side of the street. But the concern is that this person is driving dangerously and that sometimes putting the black and whites right behind the vehicle causes them to go even faster and put some of the other folks on the road in more danger.
Alex, look at this here. This car trapped there in this rush hour traffic you were just talking about. Unsuspecting drivers right next to this stolen vehicle, we believe. They were on the freeway at one point, the 110 freeway, but look at the right of the car. You see something hanging off,
right, and
the left front also has some damage. We believe that's all from this pursuit, which is now a following because of the danger of it. The driver there now back on the move here, but again, you have to wonder how much rush hour traffic they're going to encounter here on these South LA surface streets.
And the other thing, when you're right by the train tracks there, if you're trying to make a turn like this driver is now, there are moments where the trains will come and the roads will be closed. But look at the damage there.
Look at that. Boy,
so you wonder if that is from, if it was already like that when they got into this car at the beginning of today, or that was sustained as part of this this chase. We don't know because we haven't been up there.
It's some kind of damage due to the chase.
Yeah, and so clearly we don't know if that injured anybody or hit into a car or what exactly it hit into, but it looks like it's pretty severe damage there. It's kind of amazing this thing's still moving, but still moving pretty fast through the side streets of South LA on this Friday evening.
So imagine this is your car. You are the owner of this stolen vehicle. You're watching now this following / earlier pursuit. You have to wonder about the outcome of your vehicle, the way the driver has been driving here. High rates of speed on the freeway. Now we're on these South LA surface streets. And Alex, we talk about suspects sometimes going to an area that is more familiar to them. This vehicle was in Hawthorne, now in South LA. There were other people in the car that took off. They left the car, wondering if police caught them.
So we are Budlong and 36th Avenue. We're not that far away from the campus of USC, not that far away from the Coliseum and Exposition Park in terms of where we are in terms of the streets. This is one of the older neighborhoods in Los Angeles. Many of these houses have been there for like 100 years, if you're familiar with this area. You see some folks that are out on the streets in terms of pedestrians. And you worry about that because this driver has been going so fast, so recklessly, blowing through stop signs, blowing through intersections, going fast on the freeway, clearly not afraid to hit into something, which we've seen based off of the damage. And so you worry at this time of night on a Friday, on a really nice night weather-wise, Christine. I'm sure there are people who are out walking their dogs. You just saw some folks playing basketball there, going almost 60 miles an hour at one point. People that may be out and not expecting this coming. The other danger, Christine, in the fact that this is now a following and not a actual, pursuit with the black and whites and the sirens right behind, is that people would really have no reason to think that a car is coming like this. There are the helicopters overhead, not only the LAPD helicopter, but the helicopters from the news media. That may give people an indication that something's up, but it is different than the actual sirens that would really give everybody an indication, heads up, something's happening.
Is this driver coming to a traffic stopped by a car? No, a car pulling into a driveway or backing out there. Slowed that car for just a second. There are two freeways not too far away. There's the 10 freeway and the 110. The suspect was on the 110 before. Is this driver no, reversing? Okay, perhaps seeing some traffic ahead. Again, look at the people in the road there, pedestrians. Oh, wow. Whoa, whoa. I would get out of the way there.
Do they know this person? Are they...
Well, you know the helicopters are there.
Right, and the looky-loos that may be watching this on the news and see, oh, that's right by my street. Do I want to go outside and see what's going to happen? We don't know the mindset of this person. Is this person armed? Are they under the influence of something? You know, what led to all of this? So it's a good rule of thumb to not put yourself in the middle of one of these things, not knowing what's going to happen. And frankly, you could get hit based off of the way this person is driving. So if this isn't in your neighborhood, the better idea is to stay inside. And if you enjoy this sort of thing, keep watching us on TV. So another stop sign rolled through. What happens, as we know, Christine, at the end of this is that they will go through, and every one of these traffic violations, there's another one, could be added onto this person's potential sentence. So you wonder, as we've talked about so often, that people will go to a neighborhood that they're familiar with, maybe where they live, where their parents live, where a friend lives, maybe try to stash the car, go into somebody's home or something like that versus sort of a random neighborhood. Oftentimes we see people circling in those neighborhoods trying to get home or trying to get to a loved one who they may be in communication with via cell phone, something like that. We don't know if that's what's happening here, but we do know, Christine, that this person for at least some time now has chosen not to get on the 110 freeway, not to get on the 10 freeway, and to continue circling this South LA neighborhood.
Well, I'm wondering too, with the people who were able to bail from this vehicle, are police talking to them? And then you see the damage there again to that passenger side now of the vehicle, parts of the car hanging off there. And we talk about, as you said, neighborhoods that might feel familiar to the driver. They have stayed in the South LA area since we've picked up this pursuit here. Again, this started in Hawthorne. It is a following now due to the danger of it. And we keep seeing those pedestrians on the road, the people that are standing in the street, people coming home on a Friday night. It's dinner hour, it's rush hour, kids are out of school. And you just have to worry about all the people that are unsuspecting and could get hurt in something like this.
Right. So we're at Catalina Street and now moving on to Adams Boulevard. This is going near Juliet Street. This is the Adams Normandy neighborhood of Los Angeles. Again, for people just joining us, not too far from USC, not too far from some of the landmarks in that neighborhood, including the Coliseum, Exposition Park, Science Center, all the rest. So moving pretty quickly right now down Adams, which is a major thoroughfare in that neighborhood. We do see some people are out at the bus stop, out near the 7-Eleven and the gas station and other things. And they're all potentially in the line if this person loses control and is skidding out, something like that. You know, without, though, the active black and whites following this driver in a traditional pursuit, there is not as much incentive for this thing to end. You're not going to see clearly a pit maneuver if nobody's there to do it. They also run the risk when they move to following that this driver could, say, go into an underground parking lot and the helicopter isn't able to spot them, and that could happen. So we are now officially at 6 o'clock here in Southern California on this Friday night. Our thanks to Christine Devine for joining us for the 5 o'clock. We now welcome in my colleague Marla Tejas for the Fox 11 News at 6. And Marla, tonight we begin with yet another pursuit
of a alleged stolen Kia Soul. I'm pointing that out because we have been covering many pursuits of late of Kia Souls, if you'll remember, Alex. And of course, it is one of the most stolen vehicles right now. It's not a good list to be on. Hyundai and Kias are the most stolen vehicles currently. So we have another one. This is underway, Jefferson Park. Our extreme nav technology up above, and that doesn't look like it's it.
Nope.
Did we lose it? Potentially, but we have been following this, and it was a full-blown pursuit, and then they backed off because of the danger, and, you know, very dangerous considering the damage that was done on that Kia Soul.
So a few seconds after I talked about the danger of not having a traditional pursuit with black and whites on the ground, and because you can lose it from the helicopter, we lose it from the helicopter. So there you go. As we pull out, you get a better sense of where we are neighborhood-wise. And you can see Gramercy Place there, some of the older there it is. All right, there we go. Back on track. Nice job, Sky Fox, in finding this. It is challenging for the helicopter pilots without that aid of all the sirens, which give them an indication of where the car is. You're just looking at this small Kia Soul in the midst of all these other cars in the middle of rush hour traffic on a Friday evening. So we did see this car moving real fast earlier. At one point, 4 people got out of it. It is clear on the other side that there was some serious damage sustained on the driver's side of this, and we do see that piece of the car basically riding on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's the striping of the vehicle there, to your point, exactly that, riding on the ground. So West Adams Boulevard, picking up speed, 50+ miles per hour, very dangerous, crossing over the double yellow lines there. And this is, you know, that fine line that law enforcement has to walk in terms of, do we actively pursue, do we back off because of the danger to all of the innocent people out there on this Friday evening, 6 o'clock, 6:02, and this is the balancing act that they do.
And that they have a lot of experience with based off of what we've seen, not only in the recent weeks, but in the recent years as well, as we see so many of these pursuits in Southern California. So it is interesting that this person continues to stay on side streets, stay in the South LA community, and not move onto the freeway at this point. You wonder if some of that may have to do with the fact that the freeways might be jammed at this point on a Friday night, and these side streets don't have as much traffic. We're joined now by our police specialist, Tim Lynn, who spent many years in the chopper and on the ground as part of law enforcement in these pursuits, spent many years in the air covering these for local news stations here. Tim, what are the most important things that we should know about this one?
There's a lot of things going on with this one, with the way he's driving, and the LAPD and also Hawthorne PD not wanting to stay involved in it. It's just a matter of just following and hoping he doesn't hit anybody right at this point.
Well, clearly he's hit something, given the damage on the front end there. Now we're on the wrong side of the street, Tim. Oh, gosh, making that left turn. So now we're West Jefferson Boulevard, 7th Avenue, Jefferson Park. What are your thoughts on the fact that currently law enforcement has decided to back off, but of course they do track from above?
Oh, we do talk about that quite a bit, about the tracking versus actually chasing, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. You know, if you chase them and they wreck into somebody and end up injuring other folks, then you have a problem with the civil liability that comes out of that. And then again, if you let him go like this and he continues to drive in a reckless manner, and as you see, he's already hit people. He has a lot of damage on that left front and on the right side as he goes through these intersections without even stopping. You know, then if he hits somebody at this point, then they will come out and say, well, you should have been chasing him, trying to stop him, because right now all you have is a reckless driver going through these neighborhoods, and there's no indication that he's being chased. There's no sirens. There's nothing of that sort going on to warn people around him to get out of the way. So all you have is this person coming up on intersections, forcing their way in, and you know, kind of pushing through intersections like this. And so you have a couple things that could happen on this besides just getting into a wreck. You could get into a road rage act situation where he makes somebody else mad and they start chasing each other. Then you have 2 people racing around the streets. But working here along Arlington and 36, these are very tight areas, and this time of night, they are all congested. So if he starts trying to hit the wrong side of the street or push his way through this traffic, it's going to end up with more likely crashing here. But obviously he doesn't care, and he's just going to push his way through and not worry about anybody else on the road.
Yeah, I mean, this neighborhood, for people that are familiar with it, is very jammed in. There's not a lot of wide streets. There's not a lot of places to go. And there's a lot of people that may be out on the streets as well, which increases the danger of this and may increase the agitation for this driver. We wonder about their familiarity with this neighborhood. Why do they continue to stay in this neighborhood when they could be going somewhere else, kind of going in circles in this South LA spot? Circles may be the wrong word. Sometimes we literally see somebody go in circles and keep going on the same streets. That's not what we're seeing here. But sticking to this South LA area as they continue to drive and continue to evade law enforcement, who have made the decision to not be chasing him on the ground with the lights and sirens, and to sort of let this person keep moving.
Hey, Tim,
Yeah.
so originally, according to the notes here, Hawthorne PD picked this up as we're at the stoplight with
Watch
this
out for this
innocent
pedestrian.
pedestrian going, huh? Okay, I got the right of way, and thank goodness that man is okay. So Hawthorne PD, first one to pick up the pursuit and then handed it off to CHP. So then is it CHP's call to back off? And if they do go back on into pursuit mode, is that CHP? How does that hierarchy work?
Well, as soon as CHP let it go and called off pursuit, it doesn't belong to anybody. And at this point, LAPD is aware of it because of the air units overhead. They all communicate with each other. The sheriff's helicopters, CHP helicopters, as well as LAPD are on the same frequency, and they can talk with each other from air to air. And so they're keeping each other apprised of what's going on. Now, it's up to the watch commanders in the stations to make the decision whether they re-engage on the ground with a suspect. And right now, they're dead in the middle of LAPD territory. So CHP would not get back involved at this point, would be my best guess. And right now, it looks like LAPD is not interested in it as well. And as you know, over the last year or so, they've really changed policy and procedures with their pursuits of not chasing what is a property crime. This is a stolen vehicle, as all they have the information about. And at that point, it just becomes, as I said, a property crime. The person being arrested, is going to be for felony evading. But unless they figure out who he hit or what he hit prior to this pursuit starting, or did it happen during the time Hawthorne PD was involved, that's the only charges they have pending. And right now, we don't have that information. So it's, the watch commanders are going to be watching the feed from, the local media on this, also hearing the call from the air units that are overhead to decide when to come back in. But as I've said, over the last year or so,
okay.
Not really
this is when things get more dangerous. So now we're going the wrong side of the road, and we're going fast. This is where we have the much higher potential for crash. Thankfully, got back into the other side of the road, but now this driver getting increasingly aggressive. I mean, without the ground units there, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot that can be done to stop this thing, right? I mean, it's basically just wait and see, watch what the driver does, and hope he doesn't do anything too bad, because then they might question you and say, why weren't you on the ground?
Right, exactly. And when they disengage from the pursuit, they're not going to be waiting ahead of him with spike strips or any type of prevention like that. But, like I said, double-edged sword. You're going to get sued one way or the other. It's just a matter of how they're hoping this guy just gives up and gets rid of the car. So that's what they're hoping for, that he's just going to realize he's not being chased. He's going to get to a familiar territory and just park it and get out. So, but right now, wrong side of the street again, and going down Western here, it's a very heavily traveled street. You see he's going against traffic with cross traffic coming ahead. And just, he's just lucky he's not going head on with somebody who's just trying to get home from work or from school. And also at this time of night in that area, you have a lot of people on bicycles, pedestrians, and things of that sort. But here, just right down the center divider, working his way down the wrong side of the street, passing traffic. And as you're going along, just going home, you're not expecting somebody to come down the left side of you, and if you start to move in, there he's coming up on a fresh red and going to go through
watch that
the
person,
intersection.
Multiple people there. Yeah, and then you also think, sometimes people that may be in traffic and they're looking down at their phones, or they're, busy making plans on a Friday night and may not be totally, completely alert, and not be expecting somebody to be driving really fast on the wrong side of the road, too. And a reminder to all of us, me sometimes guilty of this, too, to, when you're driving, be alert.
Well, exactly. You're going to have to keep your head on the swivel when you're driving around town, but you're never expecting somebody to come up to the stop sign and just blow right through it. I mean,
Right.
How many times have you made that left turn in front of a car coming to a four-way stop, expecting them to stop? Now, this guy is not going to do that. Or coming up to a green light, you're going through, not paying attention. Here, this guy comes down the wrong side of the street and goes right through the red light. So that's the problem we're having here with this guy driving the way he's driving, is that eventually he's going to run out of luck.
What do you make of the fact that he's driving so aggressively without ground units on his tail? I mean, this is he doesn't need to do this.
And people that, do things like this, they're not really of right mind. Tell if there's some type of intoxicant on board, or they've been using alcohol or drugs. Or do they have a mental issue? We talk about that quite a bit, where what causes a person to take this much risk just to drive around really fast? And, I don't know if he's trying to hope the police come back in so he can run from them, or if he's just being, having a mental episode or something at this point. But right now, wrong side of the street, going through here, going through the intersection. Yeah, look at the damage on the car there.
Yeah, significant damage on both sides. So for folks who are just tuning in, hoping to catch the Fox 11 News at 6 o'clock and get some news of the day, this is it for right now. This is the pursuit of an alleged stolen vehicle. It's a Kia Soul. We now know that the Kias and the Hyundais are some of the most sought-after vehicles in terms of those that are stolen. We've covered so many of these involving Kia Souls. While we are calling this a pursuit, all law enforcement has backed off, so that's why you haven't seen active black and whites tracking the Kia. Oh gosh, the guy on the bike there. Thank goodness that person is okay. We're on Menlo Avenue and West 40th Place, South LA, and we've seen the same territory for the most part as long as we've been on the air with this. And Tim, the fact that law enforcement has decided to back off, now we are at that wider view because of Skyfox. Obviously, if the person knew... Right corner?
Yeah, that's where the car...
Okay, well, Skyfox can't hear you, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, yeah, Alex would be in his heyday if Skyfox could hear him. Okay, Tim, so here we are. I don't know if we've lost the Kia Soul, but at this point, we just can pray that they give up, or they go to their known location and surrender, or just make a run for it or something. Just get the vehicle off the road.
Yeah, that's what they're hoping for. But, yeah, they have lost. They drove out the bottom right corner of the screen there, as Alex said. So, yeah, it's going to be tough getting it back with all these trees and all this area. And also, I haven't had a chance to look at the radar to see if there's an LAPD unit overhead. But from what I'm guessing, there is not an air unit over it now, because as the pilot would do in the news helicopters, kind of key on where the police helicopter is. But right now, it looks like they've completely lost it here. So.
Yeah, we did see a pilot maybe 10, 15 minutes ago that was over it, but maybe they've lost it as well. I mean, at this point, there are basically four outcomes. One, we lose it and the cops lose it from the air, and then the pursuit is over that way. Two, the driver just gives up because they run out of gas or decide that they found a home or found another place to escape to. Or three, there's some sort of crash that causes the driver to give up. Those seem to be the potential outcomes at this point as we try to figure out where exactly this car is. Is that it?
Yeah, there it is.
Wow, nice job, Skyfox.
Hey, you did a good job. And I'm just checking the radar. There is no law enforcement overhead. It's just all media right now. So that's why they're having such a hard time sticking with it.
Oh,
so
you're seeing some activity in the driver's side window there, Tim. Sorry to cut you off, but we hadn't seen much, and there's some hand gestures right now.
Yeah, which makes you wonder, is he telling this guy I want to get in, and are we now about to go on the freeway? It looks like we may be heading back onto the freeway. This is the 110 freeway. We have not been on the freeway since we've been on the air with this for the last 20, 25 minutes or so. As anybody knows who drives in traffic on Friday nights in Los Angeles, there is a lot of traffic on a Friday evening on the 110. This is an area where there's a lot of different freeways coming in together, and we are now headed on the southbound way. We're near Flower Street, 42nd on the 110 freeway. We'll see how long this driver stays on the freeway.
Well, there was a LAPD ground unit right behind him as he got on the freeway, and it looks like ground unit pulled off to the right there underneath that overpass. So now it looks like Skyfox may have lost him again here. It's really difficult in this area with that overhead carpool lane and then the high sound walls to be able to get in there. And like it's unfortunate they cannot get into the Class Bravo airspace, which is the airspace that leads into LAX. So once they get into that area, they have to back off. So that's why you're looking at such a long shot. So the camera operator having a heck of a time, the Skyfox staying with it just because of not
Tim,
being able to stay with it.
We're hearing that he has been taken into custody right underneath the bridge somewhere. So maybe we'll get a visual on
maybe
that.
That was it.
Yeah, that may have just been it. So that's good news. Although we don't see that happening, but we are getting the intel that the pursuit is over. He's on the ground and will be put into handcuffs any moment now. So,
well, that's good.
Yes, that is good, and I'm glad we didn't wake you up this time. Last time you joined us, it was nearly midnight, so appreciate you on this Friday night. Tim Lynn, you're always a great help.
All right, thank you.
Okay, well, and look, you see all that freeway traffic look like it stopped because of that. So good news is there is a peaceful, okay, is that it? Okay, there we go. So there he is. At least we can show the end of this. The driver on the ground. So what's going to happen next is they will first clear the car, make sure there's nobody else in it, and then try to get this guy into handcuffs. In the meantime, the 110 freeway is going to be backed up, although it looks like they're letting one lane of traffic go through. As maybe they're waiting for backup. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing the guns drawn and the guy spread eagle on the ground, and here comes another officer. We have to wait for that person to be put into handcuffs. They'll check the vehicle, as Alex said, then they will give a code 4. When you see an officer hold up 4 fingers, that means the all clear. So that's the moment that we want to see. Plenty of backup here in terms of the number of officers. More are, I'm sure, coming behind. It is interesting, though, that they're not just approaching right now.
Right, and so the original intel was that there were 4 people in the car, so we don't know if there's anybody else in that car, although it'd be hard to squeeze a lot more people in that car, not the biggest car. We don't have any intel that this suspect is armed. See, now they are, so part of what they're waiting for is more units to fully shut down the freeway. So that's one of the reasons I think they were waiting, was so that there wouldn't be other cars coming at the time. So the first step, they're going to try to get this guy, make sure he's not armed, potentially put him into handcuffs, put his other arm behind the back, and that's the process of making sure that he's no longer a threat to the officers there. And then the process will be, now that he's out of the way, you can see them looking into this small Kia Soul and trying to ensure that there's nobody else in any of the car. At that point, you can see, looks from body language, that there's not a concern over that. So the good news is this thing comes to a peaceful end. We get our look at the suspect there. And with that, let's get to some other news happening in Southern California.
And more talk with vehicles here. Tragedy at a street takeover. Police need your help in identifying the victims of a hit-and-run driver.
Fox 7's Laura Diaz live in downtown L.A. with cell phone video that may hold a clue. Laura.
Yes, Alex and Marla, police are asking that you look at this video closely. What it shows is a young woman being severely injured during a street takeover. Her injuries are so substantial, they believe, they're not even sure if she's dead or alive.
We don't know who she is, where she is, or how serious her injuries are.
The video released Friday by detectives of the LAPD South Traffic Division of a felony hit and run is dramatic and terrifying. Investigators say at midnight on Sunday, April 14th, a female on foot was standing in the middle of the road at Manchester and San Pedro in South LA while watching an illegal street takeover. Look closely at the red Infiniti G37. The driver of the car is madly spinning in the intersection in a dangerous maneuver called spinning donuts. When the vehicle loses control, it collides with the unidentified young woman. The force of impact hurls the young woman to the roadway. On the video, you can see that female in her early 20s wearing jeans and a sweatshirt and bleeding from her head. She's unconscious as a bystander picks her up and carries her away. Desperate to break this case open, investigators are monitoring street takeover sites.
There's a slight chance that this girl might be deceased. We're hoping that this video, once it's out there, someone recognizes, knows who she is. There were girls that were with her and some guys, so we believe that they're friends. So we'd like to hear from somebody.
The second young woman referenced by police is seen taking a selfie with the chaotic street takeover as her background when she too is slammed by the moving vehicle.
That girl also gets struck, and through one of the videos we have, she appears to be severely injured as well.
Despite scouring hospitals in the area and checking with the coroner, no victims have emerged. Police hope a $25,000 reward will shake some clues free, but until then.
If you're going to drive reckless and careless and you don't care and you're going to run red lights, you're going to speed, you're going to do all these things, when it comes to us, we're going to get you.